A fragile young waitress, eyes glistening with tears, stands frozen, blood trickling from her forehead. Across the room, a powerful man in a black tailored suit slowly rises from his seat, his knuckles tightening on the table's edge. The laughter dies completely as his cold voice cuts through the air. Who did this to her? It was just another bright afternoon at La Velina, the kind of restaurant where the sunlight hits crystal glasses like scattered diamonds, and where no one ever noticed the people who served them. Among those quiet, invisible souls was Lena, a young waitress barely in her 20s. Small, slender, her hair always tied back in a neat bun. She carried herself carefully, like someone afraid of being seen too much. Her apron was spotless, her steps light, but behind that quiet grace, she hid bruises, faint purple marks on her wrist, half covered by her sleeves. She thought no one noticed, and truthfully, no one did. Lena had worked here for nearly 2 years. Every morning, she whispered to herself, "Just smile, Lena. Keep smiling. Don't lose this job." Because she couldn't afford to. Her mother was sick, heart condition, the kind that needed medicine every week, and medicine cost money. So Lena learned to endure things most people wouldn't. Sasha smirking. "Lena, table five's been waiting for their drinks for 10 minutes. You planning to serve them next week, or what?" That was Sasha, head waitress. Flawless makeup, glossy red nails, and a tongue sharp enough to draw blood. She was everything Lena wasn't: loud, confident, cruel. Lena bowed her head, clutching her tray. "Lena softly. I'm sorry, I was just." Sasha cutting her off. "You were just being slow. Like always. Hurry up. Some of us don't want to lose tips because of you." Small laughter from nearby waiters. Lena keeps quiet. It wasn't the first time Sasha had humiliated her. Every day, she'd find something, a mistake that wasn't really there, a flaw that didn't exist. But Lena, she never fought back. She just whispered under her breath, "It's okay, it'll passive." She thought patience was strength. But sometimes, silence only feeds cruelty. "Excuse me, could we get another glass of water?" That voice belonged to Don Alessandro Romano. The name meant nothing to most here, but to those who knew, it was a name that carried fear. A mafia boss, a man of power, silence, and unshakable control. He sat at a corner table near the window, dressed in a tailored black suit. His silver cufflinks caught the daylight, subtle but sharp. He wasn't here for business. He was here to meet an old friend for lunch. Footsteps approach. Lena appears with a tray, slightly trembling. "Lena." "Of course, sir." "Right away." Her voice was soft, gentle, almost musical. When she placed the glass down, Alessandro looked up, just briefly. Their eyes met. He saw something there, not fear of him, but exhaustion, quiet pain. He didn't say anything, but something in his gaze lingered. Tension starts to rise. The restaurant gets busier, noisier. Sasha rushes past Lena with a tray full of drinks. Sasha snapping, "Move, Lena. You're blocking the way." A stumble, crash. Glass shatters. A tray hits the floor. Customers gasp. Time froze. Water splashed across the floor. A single piece of broken glass cut across Lena's hand. Sasha spun around, her face burning red with anger. Sasha furious. "Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how much that glass costs?" Lena panicking. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Sasha, "Of course you didn't. You never mean to, do you?" No one moved to help her. Not a single soul. Lena bent down to pick up the shards, her hands trembling, her eyes glistening with humiliation. But then, Sasha's shadow fell over her. She picked up a metal serving tray from the counter and slammed it down on the table beside her with a deafening clang. Sasha mocking, "You want to break things? Maybe you should clean faster." She raises the tray slightly, threateningly. Lena flinched, her voice barely a whisper. "Please, please don't hit me with that tray again." The restaurant goes dead silent. Every sound stopped. Every laugh died. Alessandro's glass froze halfway to his lips. He watched her, that fragile girl trembling, her cheeks streaked with tears and humiliation. And something shifted in him, because somewhere buried deep in his memory, he remembered a boy once beaten for being weak, a boy who had begged the same way. Sasha laughed nervously, realizing the silence around her. Sasha trying to joke. Relax, everyone. I was just teaching her how not to be clumsy. No one laughs. She glances toward Alessandro's table and freezes. His eyes were locked on her. Cold. Still. Dangerous. The kind of look that made the air itself feel heavier. Alessandro Romano didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. But when he finally spoke, every word sounded like a quiet threat. Alessandro low, calm. Who raised that tray on her? Whispers ripple through the restaurant. Manager panicking. Approaching. Sir, I apologize for the disturbance. Please don't worry about. Alessandro interrupting, still staring at Sasha. I wasn't talking to you. Sasha steps back, clutching the tray, her confidence cracking. Sasha, it was just a joke, sir. She's fine. Alessandro, a joke? He stands slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. Tell me, do you think pain is funny? His men exchange silent glances. They know this tone. This is the calm before a storm. Lena tried to speak, her voice shaking. Lena, please, sir. It's okay. I'm fine. Don't cause trouble for me. She lowers her eyes, clutching her bruised wrist. Alessandro, what she did to you is trouble. He takes one slow step forward. Sasha stumbles back. The tray slips from her fingers and hits the floor with a metallic echo. Everyone in the restaurant could feel it. Something unstoppable had just been set in motion. Alessandro stopped in front of Lena. He took out a white handkerchief from his pocket and gently handed it to her. Alessandro, you're bleeding. Lena hesitates, then takes it, whispering softly. Lena, thank you. Their hands brush briefly, her trembling, his steady. For a man who lived surrounded by danger, Alessandro had long forgotten what kindness looked like. But that small, tear-streaked face reminded him. He turned his head toward Sasha, whose smirk was gone now, replaced by fear. Alessandro quiet, but lethal. You don't hit the weak. Not in my presence. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. But the silence after his words was louder than any scream. Everyone's eyes followed him as he nodded once to his men. Alessandro softly. Outside. Gasps ripple through the room. Sasha's breath catches. Sasha panicked. Wait. What are you doing? I didn't mean. The doors swing open. Two men in black suits step behind her. Their hands are gentle, but firm. Sasha's voice trembled as they led her toward the exit. Lena stood frozen, unsure whether to speak or stay silent. The sunlight from the open door spilled across the floor, bright, blinding, almost holy. As Sasha's scream echoed faintly outside, Lena's lips parted in silent shock. And just like that, the quiet, invisible waitress became the reason the entire restaurant stopped breathing. No one knew what would happen next, but everyone knew the world outside those doors was about to learn what happens when a monster protects an angel. Every eye inside La Velina was frozen. No one moved. No one breathed. The only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioning and the pounding of Lena's heartbeat in her ears. The mafia boss had spoken, and when Don Alessandro Romano spoke, people listened. Slow footsteps echo, Alessandro's polished shoes tapping against the marble floor. He stood there, calm as death itself, his dark suit gleaming faintly under the golden light. His words came quiet. Too quiet. Alessandro coldly. Who raised that tray on her? Whispers ripple around. No one answers. The restaurant manager, trembling, tried to laugh it off. Manager nervous. Sir, it's just a misunderstanding. We apologize for the disturbance. Please, enjoy your meal. And Alessandro's hand rises slightly, silencing him. Alessandro without looking at him. I wasn't talking to you. The air thickens. Sasha freezes where she stands, clutching the edge of the counter. Her confident smirk from before is gone. Sasha had mocked others before. She had laughed, shouted, humiliated. But no one had ever looked at her the way this man was looking at her now, as if her soul was under a spotlight. Sasha nervously. It was just a joke, sir. You know how clumsy she is. She dropped the tray. I was just. Alessandro interrupting. Calm. You hit her with it once before. Sasha blinks, confused, then looks at Lena instinctively. Mistake. That one look told Alessandro everything. Her guilt was written across her face. He nodded once to his right-hand man. A tall figure stepped forward, dark suit, expressionless. Alessandro quietly. Outside. Gasps. Chairs creak. Sasha takes a step back, stammering. Sasha. Wait. What? And no. Please, I didn't mean anything. She's fine. I swear. Alessandro doesn't look at her. Instead, his gaze shifts to Lena, who's standing frozen near a spilled tray of broken glass. He walks toward her slowly. Each step he took seemed to echo in her chest. Lena didn't understand who he was or why he was doing this, but she could feel the power in his calm. He stopped just in front of her, close enough that she could smell the faint scent of his cologne, cedar, smoke, and danger. Alessandro gently. You okay? Lena whispering. I'm fine, sir. Please don't make trouble because of me. Alessandro. What she did to you is trouble. He takes out a clean white handkerchief and gently wipes the blood from her cut hand. It was such a simple act, but for Lena, who had been invisible her whole life, it felt almost unreal. Her eyes filled with tears, not from pain, but from disbelief. Alessandro turns back to Sasha, who's now trembling, cornered by his men near the exit. Alessandro low, calm. Tell me something, Miss Sasha. When you hit her, did it make you feel powerful? Sasha stammering. No! No, it wasn't like that. Alessandro. Because real power. He steps closer, voice lowering to a whisper. Isn't measured by how loud you can scream or how much fear you can cause. It's measured by how much cruelty you can endure without losing your soul. Sasha swallows hard, tears forming in her eyes. He didn't raise his voice once, and yet his words hit harder than a slap. Alessandro quietly. Apologize to her. Sasha hesitates. His men step closer. She instantly turns to Lena, choking back sobs. Sasha. I'm sorry. Lena, I didn't mean to. Alessandro cutting her off. Mean it. His tone drops, calm but deadly. Sasha crying. I'm sorry. I really am. I won't ever do it again, please. Lena blinks, still in shock, then whispers softly. Lena. It's okay. Alessandro to Lena, quietly. No. It's not. He turns to his men again. Alessandro. Take her outside. Let her remember this day. Sasha cries out, trying to protest, but his men gently escort her toward the doors. The restaurant's bright daylight spills in as they open. The light seems harsh, unforgiving. Sasha's muffled crying fades as the doors close behind her. The restaurant remained silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone watched Alessandro in awe and fear. Even the manager stood stiff, unsure whether to thank him or hide. But Alessandro simply walked back to his seat. He picked up his fork, cut a piece of his meal, and ate it calmly, as if nothing had happened. His friend across the table, a middle-aged man with gray hair, leaned in quietly. Friend whispering, You really can't help yourself, can you, Don? Always playing the savior. Alessandro without looking up. She was crying for mercy. I don't ignore those who cry for mercy. Friend, you didn't even know her. Alessandro. I didn't have to. He takes a sip of water, his voice flat but heavy. Alessandro. The world's already full of monsters. It doesn't need another one sitting quietly at a table, pretending not to see. His friend studies him silently, the ghost of respect in his eyes. Lena approaches hesitantly, clutching her notepad, still shaking. Lena softly. Sir, I don't know how to thank you. You didn't have to do that. Alessandro glancing at her. People always say that we don't have to do what's right. That's why no one ever does. He sets down his glass, looking at her for a long moment. Alessandro, what's your name? Lena. Lena. Alessandro. Lena. He repeats it slowly, as if testing the sound. Keep your head up when you walk. You did nothing wrong. She nods, tears brimming in her eyes. Lena softly. Thank you, sir. She walks away, and for the first time that day, she's not looking at the floor. And maybe, just maybe, that was the first time in years someone made her feel like she mattered. Cut to outside the restaurant. Bright daylight. Sasha stands by the back alley, shaking, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Alessandro's men release her, one of them pointing to a metal tray lying on the ground. Bodyguard coldly. The Don says, "You don't touch what feeds others." He tosses the tray into a dumpster with a loud clang. Sasha flinches. The men leave her there, alone in silence. She looked up at the cloudless sky, realizing for the first time that her cruelty had cost her more than her pride. Inside, Lena continued working quietly, unaware of the storm she had survived, and the shadow that had started following her life. Later that day, Alessandro stands near the restaurant exit, sliding on his black gloves. His car waits outside. His right-hand man, Marco, approaches with a subtle tension in his eyes. Marco. Boss, should I make sure she doesn't come back? Alessandro without turning. No, fear will teach her better than we ever could. Marco nods, then hesitates. Marco, you've done a good thing today, sir. But something tells me that girl, the waitress, she's gonna bring you trouble. Alessandro turns his head slightly, looking out through the glass at Lena wiping tables. Alessandro quietly. Maybe. Pause. But some people are worth the trouble. He walks out into the daylight. The car door opens. The engine hums low. He disappears inside, the door closing with a solid thud. No one knew that this simple act of kindness had just pulled a dangerous thread, and soon that thread would unravel everything he thought he controlled. The camera lingers on Lena inside, smiling faintly for the first time in a long while outside, Alessandro's car fades into the crowded city streets. Sometimes, protecting someone doesn't end the danger. Sometimes, it only begins it. The laughter and whispers inside the restaurant faded the moment the door closed behind her. Now, only the sound of trembling breath and echoing footsteps filled the quiet alley. Sasha stood there, frozen, her face pale, her makeup smeared, her hands shaking. Behind her, two men in black suits loomed like silent shadows, and between them, stepping slowly into the daylight, was Don Alessandro Romano, soft echo of polished shoes against stone. The sun caught the edge of his watch, glinting like steel. He wasn't angry. He wasn't shouting, and that made it worse. Alessandro low, calm. You like hurting people, Miss Sasha? Sasha stammers, trying to speak. Sasha trembling. And no, sir. I swear I didn't mean it. I just... Alessandro. You just what? Lost control? Or did you enjoy it? A beat of silence. The wind hums faintly between the narrow alley walls. He took a single step closer. His voice stayed quiet, too quiet, the kind of calm that made your stomach twist. Alessandro, tell me, when you hit her with that tray before, what did you feel? Sasha blinks, her voice catching in her throat. Sasha, I don't remember. Alessandro, you do. He tilts his head slightly. You remember exactly how it felt. The sound, the laughter, the way she looked at you, scared, helpless. He pauses, voice growing colder. And that made you feel strong. Sasha crying softly. Please, sir, I didn't. Alessandro cutting her off. Power built on fear isn't power. It's rot. The words echo, sharp and heavy. One of his men drops a metal tray at her feet, the same kind she'd used against Lena. The sound of metal hitting stone made her flinch violently. She stared down at it, her reflection warped in the shiny surface. Alessandro quietly. Pick it up. She hesitates. His man takes a step forward. She instantly bends, picking up the tray with trembling hands. Alessandro. Look at it. She lifts her eyes slowly. Her mascara is running. She's barely holding back tears. Alessandro. That tray feeds people. It carries food, not pain. It serves, it doesn't strike. He steps closer until his voice drops to a whisper that feels colder than the breeze. Alessandro, you don't deserve to touch what feeds others. He nods once to his men. One of them takes the tray from Sasha's hands and throws it into the dumpster with a loud metallic clang. The sound echoed through the alley, final, like a sentence being passed. Sasha broke down completely, falling to her knees on the cobblestones. Sasha sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, I didn't mean to hurt her. Alessandro watches her, expression unreadable, but his eyes are distant, haunted. To everyone else, he looked like a man teaching a cruel girl a lesson, but inside his mind, another scene was playing. A flash of memory, a boy, no older than 10, crouched on a dirty floor, blood running from his nose. A grown man above him, yelling, striking again and again, and that boy's voice, desperate, cracking. Please don't hit me again. A breath. The image fades. Alessandro closes his eyes for a second. Alessandro softly, almost to himself. Pain always circles back. He opens his eyes again, calm restored, emotion buried. He turns to Sasha, still crying on the ground. Alessandro low, firm. I don't care about your apology. What you did, that's between you and your conscience. Plus, but if I ever hear that you've laid a hand, a word, or even a shadow of cruelty on anyone again, he leans closer. His voice drops to a whisper. I'll make sure you never lift a tray again. She nods rapidly, crying, muttering, yes, sir, again and again. Cut back inside the restaurant. Through the back window, Lena watches nervously. Her hands are clutching her apron, knuckles white. She couldn't hear the words, but she could see the man's posture, still, steady, terrifyingly composed. The way he stood, you could tell. He wasn't teaching her a lesson out of pride. He was doing it because he couldn't stand injustice. And that scared her more than anything. Because men like that, men who carried mercy in one hand and violence in the other, were dangerous in ways the world couldn't predict. She flinches as the sound of the tray hitting the dumpster echoes again. Lena's soft whisper, who are you? The question hangs in the air, unanswered. Outside, Alessandro finally steps back. His men remain still, waiting for orders. Alessandro, let her go. They nod, stepping aside. Sasha stays kneeling, too shaken to move. Alessandro to Sasha, go home. Wash your face. Remember what fear feels like. Because from today, you'll think twice before you make someone else feel it. He turns away, walking back toward the door. His shoes crunch against gravel, echoing like a heartbeat in the silence. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. The lesson had already been carved deep, not just into her mind, but into the silence that followed him. Cut to Sasha, still sobbing, looking toward the bright sky. Her shaking hands cover her face. She's broken, but alive. Inside, the restaurant remains frozen. All the customers have fallen quiet, some pretending to eat, others secretly glancing toward the back. The door swings open. Alessandro steps back in, sunlight flaring briefly behind him. He walks straight past the tables, heading toward the exit. But as he passes, Lena instinctively steps forward. Lena softly. Sir. He stops, turns his head slightly. Lena nervously. I saw what you did. You didn't have to do that for me. Alessandro quiet. I didn't do it for you. She looks down, embarrassed. Then his tone softens. Alessandro, I did it because people forget too easily that kindness is a duty, not a choice. Lena looks up. Her eyes meet his, confused, grateful, afraid all at once. Lena, you're not like other men. He doesn't respond. He simply gives her a faint nod, respectful, distant. For a brief second, she thought she saw something human in his eyes. Something broken. Something lonely. And then it was gone. He adjusted his cufflinks, nodded to his men, and started for the door. As he walks away, his phone buzzes in his pocket. He glances down at the message. Text message. That waitress you defended, she's connected to the man who betrayed you. The world seems to pause. The faint background noise fades to nothing. For a long moment, Alessandro just stood there, unreadable, his jaw tightening. His fingers gripped the phone slightly, knuckles pale. The words replayed in his mind, like a whisper he couldn't unhear. He slowly turned his gaze toward Lena, still standing behind the counter, wiping the same glass again and again, unaware of the storm that had just been set in motion. A beat of silence. Alessandro softly, to himself. Connected how? He pockets the phone, eyes narrowing, expression unreadable. For years, he had buried his past. The betrayal, the blood, the loss. But now, a single fragile waitress had brought it all back. His car pulls up outside. He opens the door, slides in, the engine humming softly. Driver turning slightly. Everything okay, boss? Alessandro's eyes stay fixed on the restaurant window, on Lena's faint silhouette inside. Alessandro calm, but distant. No! Something's just begun. The car door shuts. Tires roll on the pavement. The sunlight glints off the black paint as the vehicle disappears into the city streets. And somewhere deep inside him, the man who didn't tolerate cruelty was about to face a truth far crueler than he ever imagined. Music fades out, leaving a lingering hum of tension. For days, Don Alessandro Romano couldn't shake her face from his mind, that timid waitress, Lena. The way she flinched when spoken to, the way she held her breath every time someone raised their hand. He had met hundreds of people in his life, liars, thieves, enemies, but something about her eyes stayed. There was pain there, the kind he recognized. Camera pans across his desk, files open, a single photograph lying face up. And yet, when the message came, she's connected to the man who betrayed you. Everything inside him shifted. That calm he carried like armor began to crack. The camera closes in on Alessandro's face. His jaw tightens as he studies a photo of Lena's employment record, a cheap printout from the restaurant's database. Alessandro to himself. Lena Moretti. No family listed. No address before this city. No history. He flips another page, a birth record, barely legible. His brows furrow. Alessandro quietly. Moretti. I've heard that name before. Flashback. A stormy night years ago. Gunshots echo through a rain-soaked alley. A man lies on the ground, clutching his chest. Dying man whispering, Don't let them hurt my daughter." Lightning flashes. Alessandro's younger face looms over the dying man, a friend, a brother in arms. Alessandro back and present, voice tense. No, it can't be. He pushes the chair back abruptly, the sound of metal scraping on marble echoing through the room. He hadn't heard that name in over 20 years. Moretti, the man who'd once saved his life. And the man whose betrayal had nearly destroyed his empire. Cut to the restaurant in broad daylight. Lena is serving tables again, timid smile fixed in place, unaware of the storm coming her way. The bell above the door jingles. The atmosphere changes instantly. Don Alessandro walks in, black suit, calm steps, his presence pulling every eye in the room. He wasn't there for food. He wasn't there for justice this time. He was there for answers. Lena freezes when she sees him. Her tray trembles slightly. For a moment, their eyes meet, and everything else fades to silence. Lena softly, nervous. Good afternoon, sir. Would you like a table? He doesn't answer. Instead, he gives a faint smile, polite but cold. Alessandro. I'd prefer a conversation. Lena blinks, uncertain. Lena. I'm working, sir. Maybe after my shift. Alessandro quietly, but with authority. Now. The room falls silent. Her manager, sensing something off, quietly nods and lets her go. Cut to outside, behind the restaurant, same alley as before. The sunlight gleams sharply off the walls. Lena trying to stay calm. Did something happen again? Alessandro studies her, his eyes searching her face, every flicker of emotion. Alessandro. Tell me your full name. Lena confused. My name? It's Lena. Lena Moretti. His expression darkens, but his voice stays even. Alessandro. Moretti. Do you know what that name means to me? She shakes her head. Lena. No, sir. My mother told me my father died before I was born. I. I never met him. Alessandro takes a slow breath. He looks down for a moment, as if steadying himself. Alessandro softly. Your father's name was Marco Moretti. Her eyes widen, her lips part in disbelief. Lena. You knew him? He nods once, his gaze heavy, unreadable. Alessandro. I knew him better than anyone. Until the night he betrayed me. The sunlight dims behind a passing cloud. The sound of distant traffic fades, leaving only their voices in the quiet alley. Lena shaken. That's not true. My mother said he was a good man. He worked for a company. He never hurt anyone. Alessandro cutting her off. He worked for me, Lena. Not a company. He was my brother in everything but blood. His tone lowers, heavy, full of restrained emotion. Alessandro. He saved my life once. Took a bullet meant for me. But years later he sold information to my enemies. Dozens of my men died that night. He pauses, voice breaking slightly. I buried him with my own hands. And I swore I'd never forgive him. Lena steps back, eyes filling with tears. Lena. No. My mother wouldn't lie to me. She said he disappeared because he was framed. Alessandro's expression flickers, the faintest hesitation. That word, framed, hit him like a whisper from the grave. Because once, long ago, Marco had said those exact same words. I didn't do it, Alessandro. Please, believe me. He looks away, lost for a second. Alessandro quietly. Your mother. What's her name? Lena softly. Elena. Elena Moretti. He freezes. His hand slowly clenches at his side. Elena. The name he hadn't dared to speak in 20 years. The woman he once loved before the blood, before the war, before everything fell apart. The realization hits him like a blow. He takes a slow step back, trying to process. Alessandro hoarse whisper. Elena was your mother? Lena confused, worried. Yes. Do you? Do you know her? He doesn't answer right away. His mind spins, the truth twisting like a knife. Now it made sense, her eyes, her voice, even her trembling kindness. She wasn't just Marco's daughter. She was Elena's, too. The woman he lost because of the man he buried. His composure begins to crack, but only for a second. Then, the mask returns. Alessandro calmly. Yes, I knew her. He turns slightly, voice tightening. Tell me, Lena. Does she know where you work? Lena. She passed away last year. Silence. A soft breeze drifts between them, lifting strands of her hair. For the first time in years, the doe's heart felt something it had forgotten, grief. Not for himself, but for what he'd destroyed long ago. He lowers his gaze, voice barely audible. Alessandro. I'm sorry. Lena tears falling. For what? Alessandro after a pause. For everything. Just then, a shadow moves behind the corner of the alley, a man watching them. Neither of them noticed, but someone was watching. A rival, one who had waited years for the dawn to show weakness. And now, seeing him standing there with a girl linked to his past, he finally saw his chance. The camera zooms in on a man's hand gripping a phone. He whispers quietly. Unknown voice on phone. Tell the boss we found his soft spot. The call ends. The figure disappears into the crowd. Back in the alley, Alessandro finally exhales and looks at Lena, voice gentler now. Alessandro, you shouldn't work here anymore. It's not safe. Lena confused. Why? Did I do something wrong? Alessandro. No, but your last name. It just painted a target on your back. He turns, preparing to leave, but she grabs his sleeve timidly. Lena desperate. Please, tell me the truth. Who was my father? Really? He looks down at her hand on his sleeve, the trembling fingers, the same innocence that once belonged to her mother. Alessandro quietly. He was a man who made mistakes. but he loved you more than his own life. Her eyes widen. She tries to speak, but he's already turning away. He couldn't tell her more, not yet, because the truth he carried could destroy her, and maybe him, too. As he walks away, the camera pans to Lena's face, stunned, broken, filled with questions. Then a car door slams, and the black sedan drives off. But neither of them knew that by finding each other again, they had just awakened an old enemy, one that had waited 20 years to strike. Fade out. The music slows, the sunlight dims. A single line echoes as if whispered through the air. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it digs the grave you never saw coming. They say kindness is a debt, one the universe always collects, sometimes gently, and sometimes through blood and fire. For Don Alessandro Romano, that debt was coming due. Camera pans through the restaurant, now quieter than ever. Lena moves between tables, her smile forced, her hands still trembling from yesterday's revelation. Since that day in the alley, Lena hadn't slept. She kept replaying his words in her mind. Your father loved you more than his own life. She didn't understand everything, but she felt something she hadn't in years, the faint spark of belonging. Outside, parked across the street, a black car idles. Two men sit inside, eyes fixed on the restaurant door. But not everyone was touched by kindness. Some saw it as weakness, and weakness was something enemies hunted. Camera cuts to Alessandro's mansion. He's standing by the window, overlooking the city, hands folded behind his back. The phone in his hand buzzes. Bodyguard on phone. But someone's been watching the girl. Unfamiliar faces. Every day. Alessandro's jaw tightens. Alessandro quietly. They're moving faster than I thought. He turns, walking toward his desk. He picks up an old photo, a younger him, smiling beside a man who looks like Lena, and a woman with kind eyes. Elena. The past had come full circle. And now, it was his turn to protect what was left of it. He sets the photo down carefully, voice cold now. Alessandro, keep eyes on her. Don't let anyone near that restaurant. If they do, make sure they regret it. Later that afternoon, sunlight gleams off wet pavement. Lena finishes her shift, tying her apron slowly, exhausted. Her coworker, nervous, glances at her. Coworker, hey Lena. Some men were asking about you earlier. They didn't look like customers. She freezes. A chill runs through her. Lena, what men? The coworker shakes his head, uneasy. They left before I could ask. Just be careful, okay? Lena nods faintly, forcing a smile, but her heart races as she steps outside into the daylight. She didn't know it yet, but someone had already decided she wouldn't make it home tonight. As she walks down the sidewalk, a black SUV pulls up behind her. Two men step out, pretending to check a map. Their eyes follow her every move. Cut to Alessandro's car racing through the streets. The city rushes past, his face unreadable, eyes fixed ahead. Bodyguard urgent. Boss, we just spotted her, near the plaza. Two men trailing. Alessandro's hand tightens on the steering wheel. Alessandro cold. Don't lose them. Camera cuts, Lena walking faster now, sensing something wrong. The sound of footsteps behind her grows louder. Lena to herself, whispering, it's fine, just your imagination. Then, a hand grabs her wrist. She gasps. Man grinning. Relax, sweetheart. We just want to talk. She struggles, trying to pull away. Lena, let me go. The second man moves closer, then suddenly, a gunshot splits the air. The men freeze. One bullet embeds into the wall inches from their faces. He arrived, calm, silent, terrifying. Don Alessandro Romano. He steps into the sunlight, gun still raised, eyes burning with fury. Alessandro coldly. You picked the wrong girl. The men exchange a terrified glance. One reaches for his pocket, but before he can move, Alessandro's men close in from both sides, weapons drawn. The attackers are disarmed within seconds. Alessandro steps closer, lowering his gun. Alessandro low. Tell your boss. Some debts are paid in ways he won't like. He turns to Lena, who's standing frozen, tears streaking down her cheeks. Lena shaking. You followed me? Alessandro quiet. I protected you. He nods to his men. They drag the attackers away. The street falls silent again, except for Lena's shaky breathing. Lena. Why? Why are you doing this for me? He looks at her. The question hits deeper than she realizes. Alessandro softly. Because someone once did it for me. He walks her to a nearby park, sunlight breaking through the clouds, filtering between the trees. They sit on a bench. For once, his voice is calm, almost human. Alessandro, your father wasn't a traitor, Lena. He was framed. He found out one of my own men was selling information, and when he tried to stop it, they turned it on him. Lena's eyes widen, tears forming again. Lena. So he died because he was loyal? Alessandro nods, quietly. He died to protect me. And your mother? She left because she couldn't forgive what I'd become. He looks down at his hands, strong, scarred, trembling slightly. Alessandro. I thought I was repaying the world by being ruthless, but I was only running from the guilt. He looks up at her, eyes full of sorrow. You're all that's left of them. Lena voice breaking. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? Alessandro. Because I wasn't sure I deserved to. The wind moves softly through the trees. For a moment, neither speaks. Then, he takes out an old locket, worn, faded, and places it in her hand. Alessandro. Your mother gave me this the night she left. Said I'd know when to give it back. Lena opens it. Inside is a tiny photo of her parents, smiling. Lena crying softly. Thank you. Alessandro gentle. No, thank you for reminding me that mercy isn't weakness. Suddenly, the sound of engines roars in the distance. Black SUVs turn the corner fast. Alessandro's men react immediately. Bodyguards shouting, Boss, incoming. Gunfire erupts. The peaceful park turns into chaos. Birds scatter. People scream. The enemy had followed them. And this time, they weren't here to scare. They were here to finish it. Alessandro grabs Lena, pulling her behind a stone fountain. Bullets chip the edges as he returns fire with precision. Alessandro shouting, Stay down. She covers her ears, crying as chaos surrounds them. His men push forward, firing back. One bullet grazes Alessandro's shoulder. He grunts, but doesn't stop. He'd faced death 100 times. But this time, he wasn't fighting for revenge. He was fighting for redemption. Moments later, silence. The last attacker falls. The echoes fade into the distance. Alessandro, bleeding, sinks to one knee, clutching his shoulder. Lena panicking. You're hurt. Please, let me call someone. He shakes his head, smiling faintly through the pain. Alessandro softly. I've had worse. Just stay close. She helps him up, tears falling as he leans on her. In that moment, for the first time in years, he let someone help him. And for her, the girl once too scared to speak, it felt like strength. They walk together toward the waiting car. The sky begins to darken, clouds rolling in, wind picking up. Inside the car, Alessandro sits silently, holding the locket. Lena watches him, worry etched across her face. Lena. What happens now? Alessandro quiet. Now I settle the last debt. He looks out the window, the city lights flickering past. He knew there was only one way to end this, to protect her, to honor her father's name, and to silence the past once and for all. He turns to her, voice soft but firm. Alessandro, if anything happens to me, promise you'll live your life far from this world. Lena shaking her head. Don't talk like that. Alessandro smiling faintly. Some debts. You can't escape, Lena. You can only pay them forward. He places his hand over hers, steady, warm. And though neither said it out loud, they both knew he had saved her. And she had saved him. The camera pans out as the car disappears down a long road, sunlight breaking through the clouds ahead. He began as a man feared by all. But in the end, it wasn't power that defined him. It was kindness. because even the coldest hearts remember warmth when someone dares to show it. Soft piano music rises. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because sometimes one act of kindness changes everything.